first things first, you should know a little bit about me, and that was a great introduction. This is me. I am actually a senior machine learning developer as of April 1st at AltaML, currently a machine learning developer. I went to engineering school at Lakehead University. If you don't know where that is, that's in Thunder Bay. It is cold and isolated, and that's all I'll say about that wonderful city. I did a diploma, so like a technical college at diploma in mechanical engineering technology at Nova Scotia Community College, and I love cats. I think that summarizes me pretty well. I actually love dogs too. I have a greyhound and 2 cats in this wonderful tiny condo, and I live in Calgary. In terms of work experience, I actually started in oil and gas. Excuse me, sorry. I worked in drilling rigs, which is kind of crazy. People like me don't last long there. But I did 3 years of upstream oil and gas. And that's where I sort of developed my data science and web development skills. I was at Cathedral. And then during COVID, I got laid off. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't have that experience. So I did a little bit of back-end web development work with a little startup outside of Victoria. And then I actually joined AltaML through the Applied AI Lab. So I was with the first cohort, number 1. And apparently they liked me so much that they kept me on. So I don't know why, but I'm here, and I've been working at AltaML for the last 1.5 years. I've been loving it, been around the block a couple times, and I'm excited to share some of my learnings with you. So, oh my. Okay, what we'll cover. We're going to cover a lot. We're going to talk a lot. I'm going to talk a lot. So I want to encourage you to comment and chat, because I don't want this to be formal. I don't want this to be a very serious presentation. That's no fun. And it's 9:30 on a Saturday. We should have fun presentations. So we are going to define what a dashboard is. We're going to define our role as data scientists. And then we're going to get into how dashboards actually mesh between like how we do projects and like products. And, you know, we'll get into it. I don't want to get into it now. You need some backstory. Then we'll touch on some types of dashboards, which is really useful so that you know the tools in your toolbox to build awesome stuff with. And then we'll end off with some final words, some Steve Jobs, very high level, esoteric. I want to tell you what to do and get you excited. And I want you to be excited. So please, again, I'm gonna keep telling you, but please comment in the chat. I would love to answer your questions. And if you ask a question, it means my presentation takes a little bit longer and we get to that hour time slot. Okay, so I think you get the point. I'm not a very serious person, and I'm going to warn you now. There's going to be GIFs. There's going to be memes. There's going to be general tomfoolery, and sorry, it is what it is. But we're going to learn some stuff too, so it's going to be super great. So let's actually get to the presentation. I've talked too much. So what even is a dashboard, anyways? And again, I'm going to tell you one more thing about me. I'm a procrastinator, and I was putting this together last night. So if things don't make a lot of sense, you know why, but they should make sense. So what even is a dashboard? How do we define what a dashboard is? That's an excellent question. And usually when we want to know what something is, we go to Google and we look up the definition, right? So the Google definition, and you can probably look this up right now and it will pop right up, is that a dashboard is a graphical summary of various pieces of important information, typically used to give an overview of a business. So that's a definition. That's okay, but that gives me some heebie-jeebies. That makes me bored. You know, that makes me Bart Simpson being bored. I don't like that definition, and I think that definition and our perception of dashboards is colored by what we've seen and what we've been exposed to. And I don't know, maybe even The Office, like the TV show, has colored our perception of dashboards, because I think people perceive dashboards as very high level, C-level executive quarterly sales reports or something boring and horrible like that. And because of that, I think our preconceived conceptions color what we can do and what we can build and what we can actually do with dashboards. So I will go through what I actually perceive what dashboards are. This is a good one. This is the Ancient Aliens guy saying dashboard. I think this summarizes a C-level executive talking about what a dashboard is. Not all C-levels, please don't at me, but I get this as a vibe. It's like dashboards. There's a lot of hype, and sometimes there's too much hype Maybe there's not too much hype. I don't know. I just feel like sometimes there's too much hype. I also see this explains dashboards to me with my preconceived conceptions is like a ton of confusing graphs, like death by chart. Dashboards are just horrific monstrosities like this. Like, good God, why would anybody build? Somebody sat down and decided to build this. That is so sad. And because we get exposed to these dashboards, suddenly we start to think that dashboards are like this. See, I'm pausing for a glass of water so I don't go too crazy. And then again, like this, like a 2006 like word art Excel. Like this is what my perceived perception, my history, what I know what a dashboard is. So yeah, and one more. And I think this sums it up, is it's Michael Scott yelling PowerPoint and pointing at people like that. That's what I feel inside when I hear people say dashboard. Right? Cool. All right. So I'm so sorry. So let's fix this, right? The only way that we can do better is we can like challenge our preconceived notions. So let's go back to this definition and let's cut out the boring shit, right? Let's cut out that last bit that says typically used to give an overview of a business. That is boring. It's not typically used to give an overview of business. That is an overgeneralization. And again, I will be speaking in overgeneralizations, but this is bad. So if we cut that out, we actually get something interesting. We get a very interesting sentence. You know, a dashboard is a graphical summary of various pieces of important information, full stop. That kind of means it can be anything. And that is kind of exciting. That makes me excited. And so dashboards can, and they should be, any interactive data visualization. Cool. I want that to marinate. I want that, like, feel that, because we're going to shift gears and go to something completely different. But yeah, I want you to know, and I want you to challenge your preconceived notions, wash them away, wash your biases away, and realize that dashboards can and should be any interactive data visualizations. I could talk about this for 2 weeks, but we got to move on. Any questions? I don't see any in the chat, so I'm going to keep rocking on. So we're going to shift from defining what a dashboard is to defining what our role is as data scientists. And again, sweeping generalizations, high-level opinions. I'm not going to provide you with a peer-reviewed paper. So take what I say with whatever number of grain of salts you want to use for them. Anyways, okay, so what is our role of data scientists? I think the best way to define that is to look at like what we do and what we learn and what we have, right? So inside of you are two wolves. We have our technical skills and our soft skills. Again, I am so sorry for these memes. It was 11 at night last night. So you get what you get. Yes, Adrian, I Googled terrible dashboards too. Unfortunately, a lot of my dashboards are under NDA. So like I had to like find some, but yeah, like these are classic terrible dashboard examples. Anyway, so we have our two pillars. We have our pillars that we stand upon to do our job, right? We have our technical skills and our soft skills. We have our statistics, our machine learning, our data wrangling, our software development, yada, yada, yada. These are things we learn. These are the tools that we actually turn the wrenches with, right? And then we have our soft skills, our ability to present, our ability to discuss and talk to people in person, the ability to gather requirements and understand the problem, and yada, yada, yada. So these are, I envision these as two very strong pillars that we stand upon, and then we do data science with these two pillars. So 1 second, I'm just going to scroll down from my massive map of charts. Okay, so what is the actual output of standing on these two pillars and doing data science? Well, you know, if, again, we do a sweeping generalization, we're storytellers. We tell stories about data. That's what we do at the end of the day. All of our analysis, all of our hard work and our code and our everything that we do ends up being to tell a story about some data. And 1 second, that water's getting to me. Anyways, so yeah, we are data storytellers. And then I'm just gonna, Okay, cool. So yes, when you really boil it down, and you really, really boil it down to the scum at the bottom of the pot, we're storytellers. And so when we think of dashboards, we think of dashboards as a tool in our storytelling toolbox, right? That makes a lot of sense. If we want to tell a story about our data, we might grab a chart, we might build a presentation, we might put it in a table, we might print it off and highlight it. I don't freaking know. We might build a dashboard, right? A dashboard is a tool in our toolbox for data storytelling. That's how we traditionally think of what a dashboard is. And it's a fair way to think about a dashboard, right? Like you can even plot tangibility and impact of like data storytelling and like your tools, right? You can, tabulars at the bottom. It's not very tangible. It doesn't have a big impact. You suddenly put it in a chart. It's more tangible. It has more impact. You put it in a presentation. It's even more tangible. It's a human telling you what's what, and even more impact. And then, my opinion is that you put a dashboard up top even further. It's more tangible. It's something people can interact with. You can theoretically get more impact out of it. Obviously, that hinges on the quality of your data and your project and your ability to build good dashboards. But at the end of the day, they're tools in your data science toolbox. And your tools, that makes sense, right? Again, I'm just going in circles here, but it makes total sense from a data storytelling perspective. But now hold on. Yes, okay. If and only if that dashboard is good. And again, sweeping generalizations. And maybe next year I'll come with like how to build a good dashboard. But like we're keeping it very high level and esoteric. So let's rewind from that data storytelling toolkit discussion with dashboards. Let's rewind a little bit back to our definitions of what a data scientist does and what we output. Maybe we're not reversing. Maybe we're Austin Powers in a tunnel, just going back and forth. But I think we're reversing a little bit. So no worries there. And I'm going to take a drink of water because again, I'm going pretty fast. Okay. So let's rewind it. We're going to rewind it to this slide. When you really boil it down, we are storytellers. Cool. Okay, fine. But let's sit here for a second. Let's actually question that. What is the output of our data storytelling? What results from our data storytelling? What is that final end stage of our data storytelling? Well, again, we got our pillars. We tell stories about our data. And then from stories with our data, we go to answers, right? We get answers from our data. We don't get answers. We give people answers about data, right? We tell stories so that they get answers. Our end product of all of our hard work isn't that we tell stories. Our end product of our hard work is that we solve problems and we answer questions and we build solutions. We figure out solutions to hard problems with data. Thiago, I'm just going to read yours right now so I don't miss it. What's your take on slidegement when we try to build a doc that's both a presentation and a report and it ends up being neither? Okay, that is cool. That's a great question in the middle of a presentation. Yes, okay. I should probably delineate when we should ask questions, but I'm going to answer this one now. So reports suck. I hate reports, right? Freaking 8.5 and 11, screw that. What I would do, and I think what we do at AltaML a lot, is that we use our presentations as our report. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing because presentations and reports, like a presentation report, is more useful because you can pare that down to like a presentation, or you can submit it as a final report, and it's more digestible and it's easy. And I think it's a pleasing format and in slides instead of like 8.5 and 11. I don't know. I just don't like that paper format. We have transcended paper. It is 2022, which is terrifying to say. Okay, cool. All right, let's go back to the presentation. Thank you, though, Thiago. That was a fantastic question. So where were we? Let's dive back in. I'm so sorry. Might have a little ADHD. So what is the net output of our data storytelling? Well, when we tell stories about our data, we end up solving problems. We end up figuring out solutions to problems. We end up answering questions that our customers have. What that is it's a product, right? We are theoretically, really boiling it up, we're building a product to solve a problem. Our product might be a model. Our product might be a presentation about an analysis. Our product might be some statistical rules. But at the end of the day, we are actually building a product, not in the traditional tech sense of a front end and a back end. It's not in the traditional physical sense of machining something. But at the end of the day, we have a product, right? We build products, which is kind of crazy to say because we have product managers, but we don't build products, right? We're data scientists. We work with data. But no, we build products. So let's bring it back. When you really boil it down, we're storytellers. I disagree. When we really boil it down, we answer questions, right? And then, again, I disagree. When you really boil it down, we build solutions, right? And I think it's a very powerful thing to do. And I think we have, as data scientists, the ability to have incredibly huge impacts on problems and businesses and business processes. And we have those massive impacts by building products to solve problems, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm out to lunch. Maybe it was a little too late last night, but I think we're onto something here, right? We build products. Again, coming in with the water, and I truly appreciate you all being here at 9:30 in the morning on a Saturday. Okay. Oh yeah, I guess we build products. Yeah, I might not have gone to that slide. I'm so sorry. Okay, so we build products. Maybe. Cool. So how do dashboards fit into that, right? Like how do we fit dashboards into that definition of we build products? And I'll let this sit and marinate again while I have another drink of water because I do like this GIF, and I found it on Giphy, and it's from the Finnish tax services, which is wonderful. Yes, Pat, you're onto something there. You're onto something there with your comment. Okay, so do we know how dashboards fit into that? Well, I'm going to try and tell you why. Dashboards can be the tangible side of the product, right? Your work and your data storytelling and you're solving answers and you're answering questions. The actual product might be an ML solution or an analysis or statistics, or the end state might be like an equation, but the rest of every business, aside from us insane data science people, don't like equations and models and complexity, right? So dashboards provide a way to provide tangibility to something that is hard to understand for people that are in the business. They can provide tangibility, and again, or they can be an example of what that end stage can look like. It can provide tangibility to an end stage product, because as we all know, this is we are iterative. We work and we build, and we work and we build. So a lot of time we're not going to get to end stage, but dashboards provide that fantastic ability to showcase what end stage can look like, get people excited, and build things amazing. Build amazing things. Sorry, again, it's 9:30. If you hear my cat scratching in the background, she wants to get in. If you hear a cat like cooing in the background, that's just my other cat. She just walks around and does that. So don't even worry if you hear weird noises. Okay, so we're talking very esoterically, and I think we may benefit from a little bit of an example. So let us have an example. So let's put ourselves in a situation where we're in a company and we're trying to solve a problem. What if we were a company? And excuse me again, I'm gonna just mute myself. What if we were a company, or an engineer interested in the estimated service life of our wind turbines, right? Maybe it's a problem that's plagued us forever. Josh, I would, but no, she's a shit disturber. I can't risk it. But yeah, okay. So let's put ourselves in these shoes. What if we needed to answer this question? You know, the company is interested in the estimated service life of our wind turbines. Well, instead of going and doing that analysis, let's look at what like end state would be. What is that end answer that would solve this problem? And I think we can all get to it, right? What would that be? What we need to know the estimated service life of a turbine. So the answer, the end state answer, that end state solution would be the estimated remaining service life for turbine X is N, right? That makes sense. I think this is right. Our gears are starting to move at 9:30 in the morning. We're getting that dust off them. But yeah, that would be our end state answer. But without building a dashboard, and after doing analysis to get this answer, how would we pitch continuing project work after like an initial proof of concept? How would we traditionally, like we would traditionally do EDA, and then we'd traditionally look at model performance, and then we'd build a slide deck, and we'd talk to people in a fucking slide deck. Excuse my language, but we'd use slide decks, and we'd be like this fantastic scene from Step Brothers where they pitch Prestige Worldwide. Investors, probably you, right? We would build a slide deck and we would show what we've done, and we'd say, please give us more money to continue this project. And that's problematic. That's so problematic, folks. And you may guess where this is going. I think it's pretty obvious where this is going. Instead of building a slideshow, I mean, we still have to build a slide deck and describe this stuff, but like we should build a dashboard. We should show what that end state looks like, right? Like this provides tangibility to a prediction that would be quite intangible on a slide, right? And this gets people jazzed up. This gets your end users jazzed up. This gets your C-level execs jazzed up. This gets your SMEs jazzed up. Not only that, but you can start to circulate this between like your maintenance people. I don't know. I'm making things up, but you can start to circulate this stuff, and like it gets people excited, and it shows that like our analysis can actually have an impact. It can be tangible. We can build something super, super cool. So dashboards provide customers with a tangible vision of project end state, which is, I can't describe to you how important that is. I just need you to know how important that is. That it is the most important thing. Tangibility and excitement is for customers is and even internal or external customers is some of the most important things ever. You need that momentum and that excitement and that support and that project champions. Again, very high level, sweeping generalizations. My opinion on a whole bunch of stuff, I am truly sorry. And I think the question might come up, like, what if end state isn't tangible or hasn't been defined? What if you're working with, maybe you're building models where like, I don't know, like protein folding or something, and it's like the output is just the output, and like it's very scientific and it's not tangible, and it's not something that the business can understand until you build something from those proteins. I don't know, right? I can't give you an actual example because every project that I've worked on actually benefits from a dashboard and is tangible enough to build something. But there's always going to be a percentage of cases where, you know, things aren't tangible or you can't see what end state looks like. But that's okay. That's totally okay. If you're doing statistics, if you're doing data science, if you're building a model, build a dashboard around that. Build a dashboard around how accurate things are, how well things are doing, model performance. This may be very high. This may be impossible to understand if you're a C-level executive, but if you're an SME, maybe it's more easy to understand, and you get that tangibility. And at the end of the day, if you're building models, you're gonna need something like this anyways, so you may as well build it, right? You don't just send the model off to live in the real world and fend for itself like you're dropping it off in New York City. No, you need to monitor your models. So if you can't think of what a dashboard would fit into like end state, well, you still need to evaluate your model performance, and you should do it in a dashboard. And then this is a plug. I'm so sorry. This is a plug. This is Explainer Dashboard. If you're not using Explainer Dashboard, go use it right now. It's super, super fantastic. Anyways, model performance assessments are still in state, and I think I covered that, right? Like, you don't just like leave a model to fend for itself. That is unethical, and it still provides tangibility. You can still get people excited, right? Like dashboards are still like this cool thing. When you build a good dashboard, because people have seen so many shitty dashboards, when you build something good that answers a question, people get excited. People get really stoked. And you should use that to your advantage. Build something cool and tangible. Okay, so to summarize, I'm making great time. I'm so good. I'm chill now. Y'all are amazing. So to summarize, we'll do a TLDR. Dashboards enable us to showcase project end state, i.e. a product, while providing tangibility to stakeholders, SMEs, and users, and C-level executives, and anybody who walks through the room and says, holy shit, that's pretty cool, right? Cool. So maybe you have a question, why are we focusing on end state, right? Like, we are data scientists. There is much more to focus on than end state. There's many more things we need to do before we get to end state. And you're right. But there's a reason we're focusing on end state, and I will tell you in the next slide after I drink some water. Awesome. So if our analyses goes ignored, if our work goes ignored, and somebody says, oh, cool, thanks, bye, that is a waste of time for you, for the client, for your company, for everybody. You are wasting people's time. You are wasting your work. You are wasting your life. That might be a hot take, but you are wasting time if your analyses don't actually get used, right? We need to strive to bring every successful project to an end state like a product. That's just how we should work. And I say successful here because if your project isn't successful, then obviously you shouldn't build end state. But if you have a good product, if you have a good project, you should strive your hardest to sell and to show how this can transform and build over time and build into something that solves a problem for the business and is impactful, right? If it goes ignored, and things have gone ignored in my life and things have gone ignored in projects that I've been into, and I try not to tell myself that it was a waste of time to make myself feel better about the project. But like, if you think about it, like if you did all this work and you answered a question and it goes ignored, you wasted your time. And it's just a hard fact of life, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too critical. Maybe I'm being too engineering. I don't know, but I think I got something here. I think you folks are understanding. Okay. Let's shift gears a little. Excuse me. Let's shift gears a little. If you're like me, it is 9:30 a.m. and you feel like this. I didn't even party last night. I've been desperately building this presentation. So I feel like this. We're going to take a second. I'm going to take some water. I want you to ask some questions if you want to do some discussion. Let's spend like 5 minutes here doing some stuff on these like very esoteric topics, and then we can jump right back in to the presentation. Okay, Ryan. Besides Explainer, what are other dashboarding tools you would recommend? Dash, Shiny, Streamlit, Tableau, Power BI, etc. Okay, this is a fantastic question. I'm going to start off by saying that it's not the framework, it's what you build with it, right? That being said, my favorites are in descending order are, okay, I have a tie. I have Streamlit and Power BI tied for second and first. Those are my two favorite ones. Let's go through this. Let's spend some time. So I love Power BI because most organizations are based in Microsoft, right? And Power BI connects so wonderfully seamless with Microsoft services and Office 365 that it is such a dream to use. On top of that, Power BI is super, super simple. You don't get inundated with stuff. It looks really, really great right out of the gate. It's got a ton of features, a ton of marketplace features. You can write Python in your ETL. You can write Python visualizations. Sorry, I'm getting excited. I just like Power BI. And it's like shiny on the outside, and it's just this like mess of like boiler pipes on the bottom. Like there's just so much you can do with it, and it's clean and nice. So cool. That would be my top one. Streamlit is also there on my top one because Streamlit is super, 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 super simple. And so that's really great because you can do really great stuff and you can go into that rabbit hole with Streamlit, but you're still, you're starting off at a simple area, and it works with a lot of different plotting libraries. I really, really like it. Below that, I would rank Dash. I think Dash is fantastic. It's more performant than Streamlit. You have a learning curve. When things get complex, you have callback spaghetti. It can get complex, but like Explainer Dashboard is built in Dash by Plotly, and I think it's a fantastic tool. It's just got that learning curve. I don't think it's as powerful as like Power BI for cross filtering. So it comes in third, and then those are the ones I use. Tableau's probably great. Shiny's probably great. I don't know. I hate R. I'm sorry. But again, like at the end of the day, these are tools in our toolbox. It's what you build with them. So, any dashboard framework you're gonna do well with. Awesome. Okay, Sergey, of which dashboard tools you use at AltaML? Okay, so AltaML, we work with a lot of clients over a lot of different use cases, over a lot of different platforms and architectures. So typically, we tend to fall back to Power BI because it integrates with those Microsoft platforms very, very easily. When we want to do very custom stuff, very funky stuff, we'll typically lean to Streamlit because you can do a lot in it. Sometimes Dash, but not really. Our main two, are usually Streamlit and Power BI. Cool. Thank you, Danielle. You are right on top of this. All right, Josh, what are your thoughts on who to design your dashboard for? Do you target the technical end user or the business management side? That is a very, very good question. I'm going to take a drink of water. The answer to this question is yes. It depends on the project, and it depends on where you see the most impact. We will go through some I've categorized dashboards, and this is sort of the next section of the presentation, where we go through sort of what types of dashboards and how they can be used. And maybe there you'll see which ones you could sort of fit into the technical end user or business management. But I would say that it depends where the biggest impact is. If you are pitching to management mostly, they may benefit from like a more high-level management thing. But at the same time, managers have end users, and at the end of the day, you're typically building for an end user. So maybe you would benefit from an end user dashboard. I would also say both. Like, try and do more than one. Try and cover your bases so that they see, like, holy crap, like we can answer these questions and everybody gets access. And I will pick apart your question a little bit, right? We have technical end users, but we also have end users. So we might have technical end users would be like our SMEs, or people that are actually interested in model performance, but our end users might be Frank in the back of a truck. And Frank in the back of a truck does not want to see the ROC curve, right? So like there's a whole nother end user there in terms of like end user usability state. But we will get into that. Excellent question, Josh. Any other questions? Do you find value in mapping dashboards, or is Esri too limited for its uses? Yeah, like flipping half of my projects typically have a geospatial aspect to it. I typically don't use ArcGIS. It's just I've never, Esri is not something that we have licenses for, so like I don't use it. It seems like there's like a dashboard format in there that seems kind of powerful. And honestly, like anytime you can put shit on a map, like that's super impactful. That's super, super useful, especially for maybe high level people. So like I do find value, and you can do, I think ArcGIS or Esri has something in Power BI, and then obviously there's their own dashboarding stuff. So whatever you can use, even Streamlit, you can put things in maps. So yes, I think GIS stuff in mapping dashboards is very important. It's just, again, kind of depends on the use case and your end users. All right, y'all are inundating me. I love it. We're gonna make it to 10:30, and like we're not gonna have 10 minutes of like silence. I love it. Okay, do you do a dashboard for regular meetings during the project to present midterm results? That is a good question. So typically in a project when like it's more straightforward, when we know what we're doing, when we're not desperately working on like data processing, yeah, I would say that you know, and we're going to get into this here in the next section, but I think there's a lot of worth with regular meetings and providing, maybe not even necessarily fully going through the dashboard in a regular meeting, but going through the dashboard in a regular meeting, and then providing the dashboard later and saying, like, we talked about this, but I want you to go and take your time and dig into the data analyses and look at these yourself and form your opinions yourself. And I think that's more powerful. Again, it's that tangibility and it's that ability to interact with your own data. It's not somebody always just telling you what's what. Thank you, Sergey. All right, Thiago, what's your opinion on the build your own dashboard versus pay for a third-party tool discussion? It's a good question. If you're looking at, if you say it in the sense that it's like build your own dashboard, like use open source tools and pay for hosting, or like build it in JavaScript and build a backend, I think there is worth there in rolling your own. And I think the worth isn't building some incredible cross-connected super data visualization. I don't think that's what that would be for. I think there's worth there in terms of JavaScript and front-end development if you want to build sort of that end state user interface dashboard where people can interact with the prediction, because it's relatively simple. It's usually like in, out, Y, and then pay for a third-party tool. At the end of the day, like, some of these tools are super slick, right? Like Power BI integrates so well, so flippin' well. So there is room to justify third-party tools, definitely, absolutely. Again, it always depends. Unfortunately, at data science, it always flippin' depends, and it's so hard to speak in sweeping generalizations. And yet I am speaking in sweeping generalizations. Okay, fantastic people, wonderful people. Let's continue rolling. We're gonna do another 10, 15 minutes of talking, and then we'll do a couple minutes of questions, and then y'all are out of here. Eric, I'm so sorry. We're gonna hold yours till I'm done, just so I don't again, don't get into that ADHD thing and we just like do 15 things at once. Okay, cool. Y'all are the best. Okay, so let's roll ourselves back to this slide. Dashboards can and should be any interactive data visualizations. This was where we defined what a dashboard was, right? Any data visualization. So if a dashboard can be any interactive data visualization, what are some examples? And I think not only what are some examples, but how do we categorize and quantify these interactive data visualizations? So in my opinion, and in my experience over the last couple of years, you can group dashboards into 4 very distinct categories. You have storytelling dashboards, you have traditional visuals plus filters, you have ML front ends, and you have decision-making front ends. Again, this is just my opinion. I don't ever see any articles on like categories of dashboards on like Medium, but like maybe I should write one, but this is my list. Okay, let's go through these because obviously this doesn't actually tell you anything. So storytelling dashboards guide a user through an analysis, facilitating understanding. It contains lots of text and explanations. You can almost think of it like a report, right? It can almost be 8.5 by 11 size. A user could theoretically scroll through, read a paragraph on an analysis, have a cross filter button and a chart, and sort of be able to like tackle the problem and the data in very bite-sized chunks with text. So this, and I need to show you an example, but like this is super, super powerful. This is a fantastic way of like that mid-stage in a project where you want to showcase EDA and dynamics within the data. Like you can describe it and write it down, and it's a report, and it's tangible, and it's interactive, and it's exciting. And more than that, it allows your user to go through your analysis on their own time, in their own speed, when they're having a coffee in their underpants, instead of being sitting at a camera trying to listen to you, and all they do is stare at their dumb face, right? So I think this one's super, super important. And so this isn't a very good example. And I realized this last night. All of the dashboards I've made in the last year and a half are confidential. So thank you to Dash Enterprise Dashboard Gallery. I have pulled things from this one. So this is obviously lorem ipsum. There's nothing actually here. But if we dig into this, right, this has potential. This is obviously some sort of financial report looking at time series GDP for Albania. I don't know why you would do that, but below that title, you could add an analysis, right? Like this is why in the 1990s, GDP dropped and then increased suddenly. I mean, obviously we know why, follow communism, but like this is where you can actually get that analysis, and people can start to connect your data and your charts with your analysis, and it's like a trifecta. And then you can even add some cross filters there. So you can say, oh, but let's compare this to like the time series GDP of Russia or Serbia. I don't know. Again, I don't know why we're in Eastern Europe, but like this is what we've got, right? But this is super, super important. And Thiago, I will answer your question right now because it's on topic. Sorry, I'm not trying to call you out, Eric. I'm just saying it's on topic. So I'm just gonna. So is a storytelling dashboard. So this storytelling dashboard would be like a report generated in a Jupyter notebook / Fola. Exactly. You could use Jupyter notebooks for it. I think Fola is that dashboarding framework for it. Absolutely. That would be a fantastic use case. It's simple. You're not like freaking deploying something. I mean, you are, but like, you know, it's simple. Yes, that would be a good use for Jupyter notebooks, actually. The one good use for Jupyter notebooks, I will give you this one, data scientists, but this is the only real good use of a Jupyter notebook. Full stop. Sorry, that might be a hot take. Anyways, yes, Thiago. All right. So we get to the next one, traditional visuals plus filters. This would be your traditional death by chart dashboard. Provides clients with the ability to deeply interact with their data. It allows clients to feel like they own their data because they can click in and see those dynamics and really like get that sort of fun, clicky understanding. And this is also super, super valuable when the time comes. And like, this is, again, Dash Enterprise Gallery. Thank you. You're the best. Not a plug for Dash, but again, right? Death by chart, lots of stuff here, lots to digest and click into. Super, super useful in certain situations. So ML front ends. ML front ends can facilitate understanding of complex operations. I don't know if anybody has done NLP here. Excuse me, but NLP is complex. NLP is hard to understand. Imagine like doing topic modeling and sentiment analysis and pulling that with like keyword extraction. There could be a lot to NLP. And so if you throw that in a dashboard where you can start to cross-filter and dig into every topic and dig into sentiment and keywords, and even keywords connected to sentiment, right? Like once you put that in a place where you can see it all connected, suddenly NLP makes sense instead of like inundating somebody with like 50 slides of all of the interesting stuff that you found in NLP. Also doesn't have to be for NLP. I'm so sorry, another sweeping generalization. If you have some very complex modeling stuff, you can put that here too. Or even if you want to showcase model performance over like a time period, general model performance, explainability, like SHAP plots, explainer dashboard fits in here. It makes very complex subjects that might not seem complex to us, but are complex to everybody else. It makes those complex subjects digestible, and that makes your work approachable, and people like you more. You're not just this data scientist who lives in a cave. Again, maybe sweeping generalization. This is explainer dashboard, not Plotly Enterprise Gallery, but you can see here, you know, you can start to actually look into like why things are going the way that they are. Okay, and last one, decision-making front end. This is your end user, your Joe in a truck front end, showcasing your end product. Highlight your critical statistics and predictions for making a decision. You know, it's designed for that human in the loop situation where you have an end user who gets inundated with a prediction and has to make a decision, right? And so when you build something like this and you showcase, okay, this is our model, this is our analysis, but this is what it could be, that can be it can have a huge impact. And this one can have arguably the biggest impact of all of them, because you're showing how your analysis connects to the real world. And it might help for funding too. I don't know. I work in AltaML. I don't work within a company for data science, so you get what you get, right? And so I wish I had a better. I really wish I had a better dashboard for this, because I'm telling you, I have some fantastic decision-making front ends, but I am under NDA and I cannot show you them. But just trust me, like you can put your final prediction here and your information for that final prediction and show how a user would make a decision with that. And that is arguably the most powerful thing here. I wish I had a better example. I really wish I did. Okay. We're getting to the end. You all are the best. But at the end of the day, your different projects call for different dashboards, and I leave that decision up for you. You are all incredibly smart, talented, creative people. Do not doubt yourself, and you will be able to select the right dashboard for the right situation. Much like Thanos selects his Infinity Stones to wipe away half the universe. Maybe not that sort of death and destruction, but like, you know, you have the ability to select the things to do to make that impact. Awesome. You all are the best. So we're nearing the end. I know I've just evangelized at you for 45 minutes. I know I've made sweeping generalizations and I've talked at you for very abstract concepts. But I'm going to do it one more time. We're going to speed round some additional things I just want to tell you. But before I do this, I hope this gave you a reason to build more dashboards. We benefit as data scientists and as a practice by building more explainable and accessible things. So keep doing it. And if you're excited, if I've made you slightly more excited, I want you to hold on to that excitement and build cool dashboards. Okay. Last final evangelization at you. As data scientists, we tell stories and we answer questions, right? That's what we do. And quite frankly, we need to tell more by saying less. A lot of us talk a lot, myself included, as you see, but we need to tell more by saying less. That's how we make a bigger impact. So dashboards prevent us from committing death by PowerPoint. Please don't ever kill your client with a PowerPoint. It is the worst feeling ever when you go through an analysis that you're so proud of, and at the end of it, they're like, I didn't understand a damn thing. Don't do that, right? We need to tell more by saying less. People also crave tangibility, right? Data is notoriously intangible. It is such an abstract concept for people that are not touching it. People crave that tangibility in these projects, and that's something I think we suffer from, is that things can't be tangible sometimes. But dashboards provide a tangible interface for abstract concepts. And I love this internet GIF from the 90s. I just had to put it in. Cute kid. I'm joking. That haircut is, you know what? I'm not going to roast this kid. The point is, dashboards provide a tangible interface for abstract concepts. Thumbs up. It's a good thing. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink. It's the same with data, right? And I think Joey summarizes it good. Dashboards provide the user the chance to discover their own insights. And when somebody discovers something on their own, their understanding and their confidence in it is orders of magnitude higher than if you just told them something. And because of that, you get project champions and success and excitement and happiness. And that is such a fantastic thing. So if you have a client like Joey, give him a dashboard, right? I'm so sorry, these GIFs, I'm so sorry. And then our last one, last but not least, and this is a hot take, but your work is worthless if it never gets used. Full stop. And that's something I'm going to stand by. And it might cause me mental strife when my work doesn't get used. But your work is worthless if it doesn't get used. And so dashboards can serve as a way to show end state of a project, to continue to keep that ball rolling on your projects to solve that problem fully, right? It's a big deal. You want that end state. And you know, you're kind of like the crane with the scrap plane. That's who you are as a data scientist. So embrace that. Embrace that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for making it this far. I know this was 83 slides. This was a lot to talk about. These are very abstract concepts. I'm sure I probably didn't help much for some of them, but I appreciate you all being on this journey with me and learning this stuff with me and being excited about dashboards. You can find me at lej.dev. I'm on LinkedIn. If you want to connect, I'd love to connect. I would absolutely love to talk to every single one of you. You are all probably incredibly amazing. I will probably be at the Neo Financial after party tonight. So if you would like to stop by and say hi, just look for the tall person. I will be there. Okay, my mouth is dry. I'm more tired than I was when I woke up this morning. But we ain't done yet, folks. We ain't done. Let's do some questions. Let's have some questions. And I'm going to take a drink of water before I read that question, Eric. Okay. Elias, good to see you. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat too. It's been so long. Okay, Eric, you had mentioned that Power BI is one of your favorite dashboard tools. If you are doing a proof of concept / initial discovery and the data sources / pipelines aren't readily available, do you still use Power BI? Are there any rapid prototyping dashboards you might leverage? It's a good question. If your data source, I'm assuming that you would have some data here before you build a dashboard. You need your data. But when I'm looking at, when I think of initial EDA and rapid prototyping, I would lean more to Streamlit because you can sort of rapid fire with Matplotlib and Seaborn and Plotly and just sort of like yeet stuff onto a page and see what works. So I would actually lean to Streamlit for more initial concept discovery stuff, just because it's easy to iterate and build new charts. But Power BI is also a good option. If you're confident in that, then like, yeah, you can just like throw it in and have fun and then figure out your data pipelines later. Both are good options. I would go to Streamlit just because I'm a Python person. Thanks, Eric. All right. How do you know if there are elements of your dashboard that users don't really interact with? That is a fantastic question. That is wow, good job. That's a great question. I think that's a hard one too, right? Because you can't see what the user sees. You can't look through their eyes. And actually, I wish you could. That should be something that we build into like Streamlit or Power BI, is like click statistics for charts. So again, like I think if they ask questions that are obviously on the chart, that would indicate that they're not interacting with the visuals, that they're not understanding the visuals. And bar that, because people sometimes might not ask questions. Oh, good Lord. Sorry. Okay. Oh, I am so tired. Okay. Yeah. So barring all of that, as a data scientist, I would go through every chart on your presentation, take it out of your dashboard and look at it and see if it makes sense, right? Separate it from the noise. Look at your dashboard, say, oh, is your axes labeled? Is your title labeled? Does this tell me what I need to know? And then go to somebody who has never looked at this thing before, who doesn't even know what the project is, and throw that chart in front of them and say, do you understand? Do you know what's going on? Because there's just so much dashboards and people just get like exposed to it. You sort of need those second pair of eyes to understand and look into stuff. I don't know if I answered that question. I'm trying my best. We have 5 minutes and I am running low on water. Okay. Also, thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Pat. Wonderful words. Thank you, everybody. It was so wonderful to talk to all of you. Thiago, how involved are your stakeholders, or you want them to be when you're developing a new dashboard? Do they provide feedback while your team is developing the dashboard? I would say you want them involved to an extent. You know, you as a consultant, you not necessarily maybe an internal consultant, but you as somebody who's coming into this project who's never seen it before, you might bring very valuable insights that they might not see because they've been looking at this problem for 6 years. So you don't want them too close to you because they're going to color and bias your analysis and your I'm so sorry. They're going to bias what you're looking at. So I would say, you know, leave them out until you have a first draft, and then include them and say, does this work? Does this answer your questions? What doesn't make sense? And I think you want your feedback from them. You want that iterative work. And you want them there to provide feedback, but not necessarily color how the dashboard's built until you get somewhere, right? Okay. Frig, I'm a mess. I'm sorry. I got sick last week and like my throat is a total disaster. Okay. All right. Should dashboards include training or should be intuitive? Excellent question. Dashboards should be intuitive, period. If your dashboard isn't intuitive, you have a problem. Okay, but that being said, sometimes you might benefit from an explanation or how to use this, because you have to assume that people have never used Power BI before, and this just gets dumped on them, and then it's Cheryl, the 55-year-old woman who works there, who's just trying her best to figure it out, but she's not going to get there. So I would try and provide training, or I would at least provide a resource for how to use it. But your dashboard itself should be intuitive if you know the tool itself. Thank you. All right. Oh my God. Jamal, okay. Are there any apps you recommend to make dashboards like Excel or maybe on a cloud or VM? So again, like Power BI is like your platform, like Power BI, Streamlit, Dash. Those platforms are super useful. When you go to deploy a dashboard, that's a different story, right? So you have like when you're doing Python, like Dash or Plotly or Streamlit, you might have to use, excuse me, you might have to use Nginx and you might have to use Docker to deploy it on the cloud. But like I would look at Power BI. If Gamal, if you've never sort of built dashboards before, I would start with Power BI and go from there because it's straightforward to get started and the learning curve isn't vertical. But good question. Y'all are the best. This is crazy. Holy crap. Wow. Okay, Pat. Do you find value in embedding dashboards and interactive charts in notebooks when building a project? Is this like a first draft exercise? So that kind of goes back to that like storytelling dashboard where you have your analysis and your embedded data and charts. But like if you're embedding a full dashboard into a notebook, I would say that's problematic and I would not like that. So I wouldn't do that. But again, that's sort of storytelling stuff. Sorry, we got to get this one question in. I'm so sorry. Okay, Sergey, last one, super quick. Would you give some very useful tips for creating dashboards in Implement Red? Be very careful with red. Something like this. Careful with color. Use other eyes. Take your dashboard, show it to somebody else, and see what they say. That is the most valuable thing because you've been looking at it for so long. That would be my one tip. I got to do a whole nother presentation on this for more tips.